Welcome back to Switch to Linux. Just doing a brief little talk today on the subject of how have we changed, how we've used the internet over the years. How has that changed? Because it's kind of a fascinating, just a fascinating little look at some things. And said we only have about, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour or so, and I gotta get running out. So I scheduled it pretty late in the day, so I don't know how many people we'll get. We'll give it a few minutes. So Libre Secure, huzzah, greetings. Leon Lopez, Google is controlling my video suggestions. Had to log out to get the new content rolling. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Looks like Microsoft in talks to buy GitHub. Oh, please. Microsoft buys GitHub. That's going to be like the end of the free software world as we know it. Or, who knows, maybe just something else will come up. But I mean, that's horrible if Microsoft has it. I think it's like everything Microsoft touches seems to like turn into unicorn farts, I guess. I don't know. Like Skype, which, by the way, doesn't really work on Linux on version 8 anymore. I think I have one Debian computer that keeps on like, update Skype, update Skype, update Skype. And it's like, no, because you update Skype and the thing breaks. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, that's exciting. Wow. Hello, Frost Ranger of the Frozen Realm. And meow to you as well. Saddle Ridge, how's it going there? How we use the internet? Very carefully. Yeah, maybe how should we use the internet too? Kind of what I wanted to talk about here. In fact, let me go ahead and restart. I'm going to go ahead and restart the intro so I can get a good good edit and stuff. Do that, and we're going to go ahead and re-roll the intro thing so I can cut this out as a more concise video later, if I choose to. I don't know. Welcome back to Switch to Linux. We're just going to have a little brief discussion today on how we use the internet. Kind of how we've used the internet over the ages, how we've used it over the years, the evolution of it. Of course, our modern kids, the kids in what would be my kids' generation grew up with the internet. They've always had the internet in their houses, always had it available. And I was that last generation who... the last generation that we had to buy a tape or a CD if we wanted to hear the music, because it may or may not have been consistently played on MTV or on the radio. We maybe had a friend that had it. We grew up literally without the internet. I think the internet was made technically available to the public in '91, I think. But obviously a technology like that does not have a fast growth. You know, people didn't really have a lot of computers at that point in time. I think I knew one or two friends that could get on the internet, you know, in the mid to late 90s. And, you know, so I graduated high school, and I don't think, let's see, I think in my senior year we had a computer class where we could get on the internet for the very first time. Whoa, it was awesome. You know, and there were some overarching principles that we lived our general lives by. Our overarching principles were things like, don't give people your real name. Don't put out real information. If you put information out there on the internet, then it's out there and it can never come back. And the fact that the internet is written in stone, chiseled multiple tablets deep, has not changed, but how we interact with the internet has changed over the years, and it begs a very serious concern. Even so much so that I can't even, you know, my car registration in my state, they don't mail it to you anymore to fill out. I have to go on the internet. And of course that means that I have to go on the internet and I have to type in, you know, registration numbers, account numbers, and stuff like that. And that means that all of that information is technically available to any hacker out there. Whether or not we use internet banking, it's available to us. If we don't set it up, a hacker who has our information graciously leaked by Equifax can easily get in there, so we may as well. In fact, I even read one fascinating article a couple of years ago which suggested that when you have a baby that is born, you pick a baby name that is very weird and unique. Like, that should be the first thing. Let's see, we need to name this child growing inside of us. Let's just give it a bizarre name in the hopes that nobody else could possibly name our baby the same way. So you end up with Xylakey, Xylakey Jones or something, whatever. But I actually saw an article that talks about how to future technology proof your baby, and you give your baby a weird, unusual name, and then with that, once they're born, you create a Hotmail account, you create a Gmail account, you create a Facebook account, you create a MySpace account. It was an old article, pardon me. You create all these accounts for the baby right as they're born, so nobody else has the opportunity to name that baby and claim that account. And then you give them their email address, you put it all in there, and then when they turn 13, you hand them the envelope with all of their logins. That sounds to me like horrible parenting, I gotta say. But it goes completely against everything that we were told from the beginning phases of the internet. We approached it, and we always approach new technologies with a degree of caution. And it's wise to approach new technologies with a degree of caution. That's a wise thing to do, because it gets to this point where we can't, we don't know what's going to happen. And if we dive into it too quickly, we could rush ourselves right into gunfire or whatever else comes to our mind. And we have given up that caution, though. The internet has become so familiar to us. It's with us when we wake up. It's with us when we go to sleep. Many of us may even get online and stream with online streaming services. So we literally go to bed with the internet. We wake up in the morning, the first thing we do is check our email or check our social media feeds. We do these types of things. We wake up with the internet. We live our life through the internet. Every time we have our computer, it is perpetually connected to the internet. Then we go to bed with the internet. It has shaped us so much. We start to become so comfortable with it, so familiar with it, that we start to give it everything it wants. But then there's another conspiracy here. I'll call it a conspiracy. It's probably not, where we have taken this technology and said this technology, the internet, the emails, all of these things are required for our society. And so our schools have started to raise children on the internet. That you go to schools now, and they have ready access to iPads, and many parents give their kids access to phones and smartphones, probably way too young. The unfettered access not only gives us access to the world, but especially if we are not being cautious and kids don't know how to be cautious, we are giving the world access to our kids and to us as it is. And so as we carry this out, we have to ask these fundamental questions about, is what we're doing wise? Is what we're doing intelligent? And so what happens is, as these children are raised up in school, they're of course taught to obey the teacher, obey the principals, obey whatever. And since everything is moving onto the computers, now they have to do all of their forms, they have to do their assignments, they have to do their questionnaires, they have to do all this stuff. And so they are trained that every time a form pops up on the computer to fill out all the information. And this leads to fascinating things. So in the old days, we would never use your real name. And then slowly that was eroded away from us. And it got to the point to where things like Facebook, services like Facebook, you cannot do anything but use your real name. They've whittled away the ability to be anonymous on the internet, so much so that they're asking for birthdays. It's fascinating. I went over and just had a look at a couple of services. Just thought of what are the things that people are using now. There's other ones we can look at. Spotify, email, confirmation email, password. What should we call you? So at least you have the ability to, this allows you to be fairly anonymous. You don't have your real name, but they want your whole birthday. Your whole birthday. Pandora was a little bit better. They just wanted your birth year. But where Spotify over here, they just kind of wanted your whole birthday, and that's freaky. Pandora, though they don't ask for your exact birthday, they just ask for your zip year. Or your birth year, and then of course they want the zip code. Why? Fascinating. Do we ever look at these? Why? We use your birth year to personalize your Pandora experience. We keep your registration anonymous. So we're going to give you your birth year so you can give me what you think I should be listening to. Why? Why your zip code? We use your location to recognize your Pandora experience. We keep your registration information anonymous. Sure you do. I wonder if... yeah. Birth year and zip code are required. Male and female, why? Oh, your gender to personalize it. I am very upset with this. I mean, why are these guys so binary? I mean, Pandora assumes I'm a male or female. At least Spotify has the non-binary option. I mean, that's the thing, is that we are so used to now on the internet popping up a form and we give out all this information. And the reality is, even these are required. Why does Spotify need my birthday? Why does Pandora need my birth year? They don't. Facebook, of course, wants it. I didn't pull up Instagram since that's one of the most popular popular services in our current day. So they need your mobile number or email, a full name, a username, and a password. They're not specifically asking for your birthday. That's good, I guess. But the thing is that as we have lived our lives in the internet age, we've become so used to giving every bit of information these companies want. And we're giving up all of this information, and it's not good. We should keep our names back. We should keep our birthdays back. There's very few legitimate services on the internet that would actually need real information. So what do we do? What do we do about this? My advice is to go back, not to necessarily the days before the internet, because there are a lot of great things we have gained from the internet. But we have to remember first and foremost that when we have access to the world through the internet, we also give the world access to us through the internet. We have to teach our young people not to just fill out any piece of information that the internet would like to have about us, but to be guarded with our information. If a service does not need to know my location or my zip code or my birth date, it should be a very simple option. No. And maybe what we should just start doing with these services like Spotify and Pandora that are requiring the birth year, give them ludicrously ridiculous information. Maybe they'll start to realize maybe people would like to see our service without having to give up everything about us. We would go back to that time where we can remain somewhat anonymous online. And let's go ahead and address this other issue, because I hear this a lot. Once you get on the internet, privacy is gone, and I completely disagree. It is very possible to get on the internet and to interact on the internet and maintain a degree of privacy. Now, there may be some sites and services you cannot use if you are attempting to maintain some privacy. The biggest one right now is if you look at your cookies. Now, of course, I am over here on WaterFox, which is going to be the same process as Firefox. You can look up if you're using a different browser. Down here, you can actually look at how your cookie settings are going. You can set certain sites that you would say, okay, I would like this site to allow cookies, to whitelist things. These are all various cookies that are set, mostly by ad networks. Now, most of these are actually blocked by my system, but it is certainly worthy. Of course, you should always come in here and maybe remove your cookies from time to time. In fact, maybe you just don't accept cookies at all. Now, this will prevent some websites from having interactivity. That's why I set my default to I'll allow cookies. I will not allow third-party cookies. I generally set that to never. And actually, the best option is close WaterFox. What this is going to allow you to do is you will only have cookies tracking you per your session. So if you want to search up 4 or 5 different websites, one thing you can do to prevent them from tracking at least your machine ID is closing the web browser and then reopening it between each things if this is your cookie setting. So this setting here, the way I have this, will allow you to work on any website. It will not have any third-party information, and once the site is closed, it closes so you don't store cookies and carry them long-term around the internet. Okay, you also can have multiple different web browsers, or maybe if you have the ability, a couple different computers or operating systems. So if you need, for example, to use things like Facebook or Google services, and some people do for the various things that they do in their life, utilize a different browser. The beautiful advantage right now is no matter what operating system you are on, you can use a variety of browsers. Firefox, Waterfox, Chromium, Chrome. These are all cross operating system compatible web browsers that are good. And I don't recommend Chrome, by the way, but just to say, I'd rather you throw Chrome on your system to use it every once in a while with one specific service than to give up that degree of privacy. You can also not create online accounts on any site that is not absolutely required. And then when you do need to utilize an account, maybe there is a service or a forum you would love to interact with. A very good option is to create the account but not give them any identifiable information. You also want to have separate throwaway email addresses. This is and we're not talking about, I realize there's services where you can get a temporary email address. We're not talking about that. We're talking about a throwaway email address. I use Hotmail for this. I don't, simply because I've had the account for like 20 years. It just became too full of spam, and so I said, well, I'll just keep it, and it's now essentially my spammy account. So it doesn't really track anything important about me because, despite being a Microsoft product, because I don't give it anything other than junk email addresses. Things that, okay, I would like to interact with this service, but I really don't want this service to interact with me a whole lot. And so I give it the old Hotmail. Give it the old Hotmail account. That way, it's kind of there. But then you make sure that you use your real emails very sparingly. Don't just give those out to everybody. Use those only for important things. If you have the ability to host your own email, like what I do, set up a separate email for things like banking or different devices. Every single separate mobile device I've ever had has its own email address. It prevents those services from linking me to a variety of different devices because they do check. That's important things to keep in mind. All right. So when you are using the internet, you can maintain a degree of privacy. Of course, if you are extra paranoid, you might consider utilizing a service like Tor. There's a couple other services like that. You could potentially use a VPN, although that really just kicks the can down the road. Instead of your ISP seeing everything, the VPN provider can. So it just begs the question, is the VPN provider more reliable than your ISP? In some cases, the answer might be yes. In some cases, the answer might be no. All right. And so as we are navigating the web, just because you connect something to the internet does not intrinsically mean that you have given up all your privacy. Okay, I don't give up my privacy just because my writing computer is online. It doesn't intrinsically mean that the internet can see everything that is on my device. Only the things that I allow the internet to see. Of course, we have to account for the potential of malware and the potential of hackers, which if you keep your systems up to date is minimized. We'll say minimized. Let's talk about this different computer thing for a moment. Because one thing that I do, if you only have one computer, is you can actually pick up for a very small amount of money a little 32 gigabyte USB drive. You can install a separate Linux distribution on one of these drives and boot your computer into this for applications that might be more you would either use this as a default privacy mode or as a default privacy collection mode. Oh, there's the ice cream man I was talking about the other day. You hear that? He'll make like 7 laps. All right. So getting one of these if you need to use something like Facebook, or you need to use a Google or a Microsoft account, if you need to use those types of things, but you use it sparingly, get yourself one of these, install a separate Linux distribution on one of these, boot your computer into this for those little specific purposes. And then for everything else, you pull this out, and Facebook, Google, Microsoft, they're not going to track anything that you do. Particularly if you block those particular services. You can do that. With a host file on your computer, you can actually block a lot of different services. I actually have a host file made available on my website. If you head on over to switch2linux.com, go down to privacy resources. You can see there's some things down here. Get the host file script here. This is actually a big host file that will block a lot of the old bad stuff on the internet and a lot of the old trackers. It blocks Bitcoin miners, just all sorts of different things. So you can actually get this script and push that onto one of your computers where you want it to be more private, and then maybe you're one that needs Facebook access, etc., etc. You just don't push the file on that computer. So there's a lot of things you can do, and we need to always be questioning how we use the internet, and it's not just for you. It is also for your family. Educate your family, particularly your children, because they are going to a school system that wants to addict them to the internet. They wants them to run the forms. It wants them to fill out every bit of information that they want you to have. Okay? They want you to have all of that information. And that's a sad thing. It really, truly is a sad thing. We don't want that in our life. Okay? Be more cautious about it. Teach your children not to give their birth date out to a random website on the internet just because it says, "What's your birthday?" Don't do it. Teach them to be wise with email. Give them a separate account and say, if in doubt, use this email for anything that's asking for an email address. And if it's a legitimate service, we can move the email address to a better one later. Teach your children, teach your families how to use the internet wisely. Don't give out personally identifiable information online. Don't do it. Outside of the rare exceptions of a bank or some government site that they're so short-sighted they have to have it. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Let me know your tips about how we should or shouldn't use the internet, or how you remain private on the internet, in the comments down below. All right. BitBlocks, how's it going there? What's going on? Linux Lite 4.0 release good, I'm thinking? I don't know. Yes, it's pretty cool. I looked at it. Used to videotape MTV for music compilations when I owned a little music store. Nice! That's cool. Grew up with no internet. Dial-up modems came first with message boards. Yep. I think everyone in the past started with dial-up. Yep. I didn't have AOL. I skipped AOL. I went right for the community ones. You have to go down and find a local provider that could get you the internet, and then you'd actually go and you'd call into some local phone number and they would connect you to the internet. That's how it used to be. And you're connected. Still the best child name, Robert. Drop table. My kids only had little handheld games like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man. Yep. And then I had Intellivision with Burger Time and Space Hawk. Very cool. I remember the huge consoles in the bars and restaurants with Pong, and the people even got addicted to that. Yeah. Tetris is one of the most addictive types of games, believe it or not. There's the methodology in what makes more addictive games. People these days don't know how to live without a cell phone. I agree. And it is scary. It's like, what's the number? I was actually discussing this with a friend of mine. He said that the statistics was every 10 seconds somebody look at their cell phone. I thought it was closer to 30 seconds. Anybody know those statistics off the top? I'm not sure. I find it, I mean, I have a smartphone that, yeah, I mean, I was actually out doing a writing session yesterday, hour and a half, never looked at it once, didn't care, you know. And it's, you know, it's a great tool to have. You just can't become dependent on it, you know. It's like we started to live in Ready Player One. Grid goes down and everyone with a cell phone glued to their ears panics big time. Yep. I'm a fossil from the 1960s. Nice. There's the ice cream man again. Maybe I should stop him. Hey, can I give you $100 to not come down the street again? Good afternoon, Keegan. How's it going there? I didn't get a smartphone until last month in my senior year of high school, and that was just because I didn't want one until my MP3 player broke. Yeah. I still use the dumb MP3 players. I find them way better. They last way longer, way, you know, just less crap to break. It doesn't track you. Like, if I want to go for a late night walk, I don't want the whole world knowing where I'm going, you know. Greetings, Richard. How's it going there? It's so sad how society pushes us to use smartphones. Yeah. I can believe, is it Instagram, I think? You have to have an app to use? Or a cell phone to use? I did not know that till the other day. Volley for the win. I use WaterFox, but it doesn't work well with YouTube. Really? Huh. And I can't exactly say I watch it on YouTube on WaterFox, so. Salem Khan, how's it going there? Exactly what I use Hotmail for. Yeah, there's no other good legitimate use to use Hotmail for. We have the right to privacy. Well, not in America. Really bad. Rarely close the browser and suspend computer instead of powering it down. Yep. You should at least close the browser and clear out cookies and stuff. Exactly. VPN now has your history. Yep. I close the browser and shut down if I'm going to be away for more than an hour. Hey, Noby Roger. How's it going there? That's futile. Yep. Dude, like, I go the extra step. I shut down the power strips that my computers are on. Yeah, I have 2 power strips down here because I have like 1, 2, 3, I don't know, 4 or 5 main computers right here that I use in the main office part. None of them are connected to a power support source when I'm not in here. I shut them down, shut off the power source. Best way to go. The amount of what do they call? Is it called gray power? I think I forget. Ghost power, ghost electricity that you use is shockingly high. Just keeping stuff plugged in it's shockingly high. So I keep pretty much everything that I have on, either on flipper switches or things like that where I can completely kill the power supply to it. Kill switches and power strips and things like that. And because what it really does is it greatly reduces your energy expenditure. As much as 30% of your energy bill, if you're an average American, 30% of your energy bill is called ghost power. It's just stuff plugged in that you don't use, like your coffee pot, your toaster, all that kind of stuff. If you don't use it on a regular basis, don't plug it in. It's drawing power, even if it's not being used. If you have multiple clocks in your kitchen, it was funny because when I had my house out west, it was the built-in stove, built-in microwave. They both had a clock. They were right next to each other. I really didn't need 2 clocks. And so I ended up turning off, I think I turned off the display on the microwave is what I ended up doing. I'm sure that didn't cause a lot of power usage, but always look at how you can reduce power. One of the funny things is even your, even your higher efficiency bulbs, like I have one up here, even those are like, I don't know, how many watts, like 15 or so watts. Well, I was looking at the LED bulbs because I have a couple of LED bulbs around. I'm like, I was curious what the wattage is. These things are 4.4 watts. That is an awesome light bulb, 4.4 watts. And so you always be looking for those ways to save power. You want to not keep stuff plugged in that's not being used. I mean, unless it has a real legit kill switch, like a lamp is generally okay to keep plugged in because when you switch it off, it completely cuts the power circuit. But like your entertainment stand, even a lot of your coffee pots, particularly your more digital ones, a lot of devices, when you keep them plugged in, if they're not being used, they are still drawing power off the grid. So you unplug them, or you put them on a power switch with a kill switch. So you do little things like this, and it really saves up. You could save as much as 30% if you just go around the house and keep stuff unplugged. If you're not using your entertainment system right now, just unplug it. So I keep all mine just on an easy access, and I keep all my power switches easy access. So just hit the toggle button, you're good. So little stuff like that. I got a question. All right, what's your question, yo? Use Puppy Linux, no hard drive, and Tor's Tor cookies be gone. Yep, there you go. All right. Don't believe in letting the system run if I'm not using it. Yep. No, ask your question. No, Roger. Ask away. Saddle Ridge for energy savings, but not going to help privacy. I have a host file with 50,000 listings. Nice. I don't know how many mine has. I'll have to look. Ice cream music, kick butt. Yep, that's right. Ice cream trucks are making a comeback. If I had a kid, I'd turn him into a programming monster. Yeah. Actually, a Realtek driver. Anyway, Realtek 8723DE, trying to install but don't know how to. The driver thing don't show anything. Well, if you can answer. Okay, what's the operating system versions, things like that? Watching on your phone, all right. Caden Levine, how's it going there? What's the best free and open source video conferencing tool? Maybe look at Jitsi if you're not going to be hosting something yourself. I have a Nextcloud which works wonderfully, end-to-end encrypted, and I control the whole thing. But that's kind of complicated setup. It requires Nextcloud, and then you have to build a stun server. But Jitsi, I think, is the best one I know of. It's end-to-end encrypted. I think it's like essentially the same software Nextcloud uses. And it is free and open source. Sharon's very helpful. Thank you. Okay. Is it legal to use an AKA for the internet? Most interpretations of the law would generally say yes. Of course, you don't want to do that for breaking the law. It is against terms of conditions of a lot of providers, so they could kick you off if you use it. But no, I mean, I see zero problem with it. And the reality is, unless I can justify something, so like I wouldn't give the bank false information, but a service like Spotify, if I had to get a Spotify account, you better believe I'm giving them a wrong birth date or name or email or anything else, because Spotify doesn't need to know. If they catch on and kick me off, so be it. I don't use it anyway. I don't exactly find it a loss to me. Sad that people think they have no right to protect their privacy. Yeah, and that's the thing. But this is the thing. This is what they have been trained to do by the schools. Get you on the technology, make them do all the assignments, and then be good little boys and girls and answer every little thing that you do. And that's literally, I think that's one of the reasons these companies pushed for it, is that it produces compliant little boys and girls who will give you every bit of information you ask for without thinking twice. It's legal for them to stalk us? Yeah. There you go, man. They don't look up anymore. Have to communicate with them via service. Yeah. This the early 2000s before smartphones. We had cell phones and computers, but people were still human. Yep. GNU should make free and open source phone. There is actually one Android operating system they recommend. I need to look into it. MP3 players are awesome, coupled with a dumb flip phone. Yep. I miss those days where, sure, you had more stuff, but frankly, we managed things better. So, like, you know, used to have the flip phone, and then I'd go around if I was going somewhere cool, you know, you'd bring a camera with you. And then I'd come back home that night, and I'd take the camera, I'd plug it into the computer, I'd pull all of the things off of it, and clear the camera out, and it was ready to go for next time, right? Well, with our cell phones, we never do that. We never clear our photos. We just end up with these giant masses of photos. We can look back and go, I have no idea when and where this was. It's caused us to get lazy, and we want to take back that control. Random config, you can use free software on your phone already. Well, it depends on your phone, though, unfortunately. Vampire energy, there you go. They're still in low power state. Yep. I prefer no power state. When I get rid of my smartphone, I will switch to a dumb phone because way better battery life and also privacy. Yep. Hey, JJ Game. Greetings. Smartphones, big batteries, and can encrypt. All right. Let me look into this driver. Okay. So here is... If you just type in a search for your driver and the Linux driver, this is for Noby Roger, it will bring you over here. So again, you just need to figure out which one you're using. And what you're going to want to do is just follow the instructions here. So depending again on which system you're using, first make sure you're using which kernel you're going to be with. So... double check your kernels and then double check your operating system, and you know these might be different depending on which distro you're using. So start with that. If you're using like Linux Mint or Ubuntu or something, then it should pop up. If it doesn't pop up in the drivers system, then it means it's already should be working. Hello everyone, how are you today? Kitty's like, it sounds like the end of the stream's coming up, so I need to pop up here and be ready for my kitty treats. There are smartphones with big batteries. You can encrypt text messages on smartphones. Okay. Spin Viking, greetings. Random config. We need to encrypt the web. A password for data collection. There you go. Trying to use dual boot to use Linux on Ubuntu or something like that using my HP. Okay. Yeah, on Ubuntu, there is, I think it's, is it called I think it's, where's it at? Do I have an Ubuntu installed? Do I have Ubuntu ISO? I have an Ubuntu ISO. Let's drop an Ubuntu ISO in here. I'll show you where that is. I think I have an Ubuntu ISO. Hey, there's an Ubuntu ISO. Found an Ubuntu ISO. All right, let's boot this guy up. No, don't full screen it. All right. How do we use the internet safely? I mentioned a lot of things earlier, so you might just have to rewatch the video. One of my relatives cannot upload their Android phone picture onto their Windows 10 computer. It's really sad. Huh. All right. So, all right. So here is an Ubuntu computer. I think that driver should automatically work, but inside of Ubuntu, you want to go to Software and Update right here, and come down to Additional Drivers. It's going to scan your computer, And if there is any proprietary driver out there, it will know where it is and it should find it. So you can see here it says no additional drivers available. So that's what you would do on Ubuntu to find the driver for that. I think that driver should already work on most Linux distros, though. That's kind of curious if it's not. I'm pretty sure it was. Farron OS. Gosh, dang it, YouTube. Yeah, you must have not gotten the notice. Yep. All right. Trying to use. Okay, let's see. One of my relatives. Okay. No need for software incompatibility, at least for the most part. This cat's name is CJ. I have another one named TJ. Hello, Nobby Roger. How are you? All right. Netherlands, how's it going there? Linux Mint sees my son's old LG phone. It's not connected. It's just used for camera. Some computers, when powered off, still have chips still power up. Intel has vulnerability test tool to check. That's a good reason to unplug my computers. Yep. Top 5 favorite browsers. On production computers, I typically run WaterFox. When I'm doing like my distro test computers, like the one beside me, I don't bother because WaterFox is kind of a pain to get installed. So I just use Firefox as number 2. I use Chromium as number 3. And then if I need to dive in anymore, I would usually use either Midori, Conqueror, or Vivaldi, whichever one works better on that distro. So that's kind of what I do. On an Android, you might look at Firefox Focus or Firefox Clar. Clar is the open source version. Focus is the one you'd grab on the Play stores. Essentially the same thing. That's a really good one because it blocks all cookies. It blocks pretty much everything. It's a little annoying as a browser. But annoying is good because annoying means that it's not working perfectly well because it's not allowing all of the company's data to go through. So that's my favorite browsers. I think I have WaterFox. I think I use WaterFox as primary on my smartphone, actually, because I'm using a lot of ad blocking scripts on my phone. My phone itself has my custom host file on it, so it's pretty good. Hello, Antic Designs. Okay. Maybe a faulty driver. Yeah, I mean, it should work, but I think that's perilously close to what I have in my computer. I'd have to double check exactly, but I remember it being the Realtek driver in my Linux Mint computer. No problems at all. Now, when that died and I have a Broadcom one laying around, I had to install the Broadcom drivers. What is the best distro? My personal opinion, I prefer Linux Mint Cinnamon. I absolutely love it. I also run Peppermint on a production computer. Manjaro is great as well if you want something that's good in the Arch world. Love Manjaro. So that's those are some of the favorites. June, the European Parliament will vote on copyright directive. Members of the Parliament are the only ones that can stand in the way of bad copyright legislation. Yep. We are going to get something, if you thought GDPR was bad, if these guys get their way, yeah, we're going to get something infinitely worse in June. It's going to be exciting. Would you recommend Ubuntu over Debian for basic use? Hard to say. I don't find Debian as user-friendly, but I like it better. There's a few little things you might need to fix on Debian you don't need to fix on Ubuntu. If you're a new user, and those are my two choices, go to Ubuntu. But really, look at Mint instead. Look at Linux Mint instead, because it's even better than Ubuntu. You need to protect your internet against surveillance and censorship machines. Tom Jr., you guessed it. Hey. No one said I was original. Okay, only Nintendo fans will get this meme, but TJ equals TJ Henry Yoshi. Greetings, Live or Die. How's it going there? WaterFox is cool, but it doesn't get the latest updates. It's still fairly up to date. Save your internet. Copy link address. Paste. All right, so there's I guess a fascinating website. Where's my there that view's better. All right, so you can get more information about this thing going down in June. Definitely take time to figure this out. This could affect more websites than GDPR did. Very, very frightening stuff. Look that stuff up. It's quite creepy. Best distro, MX Linux opinion. MX is not too bad. Thoughts on Tor browser? I would not use the Tor bundle unless I had to, because there is too much potential for a DNS leak. If you're wanting to use Tor, you should use Tails or Cubes or Whonix. Tails for a live instance, Whonix for a VirtualBox instance, and Cubes for an install instance. Watch my schedule. Yep, I'm still good. Yep. I'll go maybe about an hour, so maybe about 10 minutes or so we'll wrap it up. Trying to use my computer offline more. Will AbiWord and OpenOffice make their own files like LibreOffice does? Why not use LibreOffice? What do you mean by make their own files? Yeah, those are... as far as AbiWord, I'm pretty sure I don't use that one as much. OpenOffice, definitely. In fact, I wrote my whole first book offline on OpenOffice. It got ported to Microsoft Office because the publisher I was using required it, but that's why I publish my own now. And so, yeah. I mean, I'd use LibreOffice for an offline system. I mean, personally, but yeah, all three of those should make their own files. They are not internet scheduled things. What's people's thoughts on Linux Lite with Ubuntu 18.04 base? I looked at it. It's pretty cool. F-Droid is a good browser for Android because it's pretty close to... Oh, Fennec. Okay. Firefox and updates with no proprietary BS. One thing that has definitely become more important is mobile friendliness. It is a big impact on ranking now. Another is media, videos and articles, and are must now for users and for ranking. Correct. And that is why you need to look at this June 20th thing and take action as necessary. It's going to kill the ability to cite reference articles in what you're doing. It's crazy. It's insane. E3 2018? Don't know. Did you hear about a new router virus going on? Yes. Actually, I covered that, I think, 2 weeks ago in the news. Yep. If just pay attention to the model routers in that list. If you have one of those routers, what I'd probably do with it is just make sure it's unplugged when you're not using it. Why GDPR is so bad? For me personally, I love the concept what they're trying to do, but what I can't stand is all of the cookie garbage. That's the thing that's annoying me the most. I really love the vastest majority of it, but it's so short-sighted that they just didn't know how to put something together right with it. And it raises a lot of fascinating one world government type questions that nobody has real good answers for yet. And so that's kind of what the situation is. For me, I'm mostly concerned with it regarding the cookie policies because, dude, I showed you in this video earlier how cookies are easy to manage. That's just the way it is. And you know, it puts too much burden on small businesses, specifically the cookie stuff. It's just better to say, hey, citizens of our internet world, prevent cookies from being stored on your computer. Problem solved. That way I don't have to have an opt-in. Do you opt in to using the non-essential cookies of Google Analytics? Because Google Analytics, easy to solve that problem. Every other cookie service out there, if I want to link to any connection at all, not so easy to deal with. It raises too many issues in that. But I like the vastest majority of it. It's just too short-sighted. And it's written by people who don't know how computers work. Using different word processors for different subjects. Okay. Yeah, all those would work for you, I think. Wi-Fi driver only supports 2 gigahertz, not 5. Oh. Mother devices support 2 and 5. That could be a problem. What are your thoughts on AMD drivers is outdated in Linux, not on Windows? Wait, what? What are your thoughts on AMD drivers is outdated in Linux, not Windows? I have no thoughts on the matter. By the way, I'm not a person who updates everything every single time an update comes down the pipeline. I usually give it a couple of days, couple of weeks, maybe. Because there's some updates that break computers. Got to be a little quicker on that. Well, we hit the bottom of the comments. We'll do a final call for comments. We're going to end this stream the way every live stream must end. With maximum cuteness. Maximum cuteness to the extreme. Oh, yeah. I guess as we are wrapping this guy up, don't forget to help support the channel. Patreon. Patreon.com/TomM. And you can pick up a t-shirt, mouse pad, something like that at shop.switchtolinux.com. And check out all the other ways to help support the channel at switchtolinux.com/shop. All right. Oh, boy. Oh, boy, kitty. Oh, boy, kitty. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's it. That's all you get, kitty kitties. That's all you get. Find out being a derivative dev means you are open to being roasted by other derivative devs. Oh boy, maximum cuteness to the extreme. Oh yeah, I got a real good picture of this guy as a kitten. Kitty, you're spreading spit on my... I got kitty saliva all over my desk now. Kitty. Yeah, you. You. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks for watching, guys. Should be a... there will be a... outdoor philosophy tomorrow, back to the regular schedule on Monday-ish. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy switching to Linux.